Watch us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and keep up with the latest news now.
I don't know why.
Feels good.
Wake up! Weekend on Magic Breakfast. Magic 100. The hot dog on Magic Breakfast.
Oh yes, yes indeed. Welcome aboard Breakfast on Magic 100 FM. Welcome to us as well, you that is watching on Facebook Live. Welcome everyone that is following the show via the various update sections. And indeed, this is the hashtag on Magic 100 FM. Breakfast it is. My name is Kent, and together with Mr. Dennis Obita, we are going to be looking at a couple of issues that have happened surrounding General Kayihura's life, but as well questioning the whole entity of Uganda's sovereignty. Well, apparently, in just a bit of some days that had elapsed, the president of Uganda, H.E Museveni, came through in a statement and said, "We can't hand Kayihura to foreigners." The president says that if there are mistakes the former Inspector General of Police might have committed in Uganda, they will be handled locally. And besides, he's already undergoing prosecution. Now, interestingly, the president made a couple of highlights concerning the same issue, and he did mention some of these that I'm going to quote for the record. That for Kale and other Ugandans who are suspected to have made mistakes, they will always be handled in Uganda. That is why we shall never hand any Ugandan to, for instance, the court in The Hague, the ICC. Secondly, I still quote, Kale is already facing whatever mistakes he is suspected to have committed in our courts. What value addition is then there from external actors? The president also did make a mention concerning foreign investments, saying that what would be disappointing is to hear that Kale had investments in the USA. That would be treason. Investments in the USA when Uganda needs investments? I could consider investing in Tanzania, Kenya, Rwanda, etc. African countries. Quite a number of angles for us to tackle this, but if you do follow forth on the document that was written by the US, it actually reads that some of those that Kale Kayihura is alleged to have committed are corruption and bribery, human rights violation, torture of detainees majorly at Nalufenya, theft of funds, not so sure which ones, and smuggling of illicit goods including drugs, gold and wildlife out of Uganda. Is Uganda sovereign enough to actually shun the US sanctions on Kale? Is the US the rightful kind of state or power to sanction Kale Kayihura and the family? Are we going to see the same precedent taking that kind of format? Dennis Obita is in studio with me, and as he waves to you, the guys on Facebook Live, for you that is listening in on radio, we definitely coming your way from the waves of 100.0 FM. Mr. Obita, first and foremost, how was your weekend? Welcome through from the night and the whole bit of the sanctions.
Thank you so much. My weekend was okay. We have been receiving foreign nationals to this country. That some of us are imposing penalties on us, and today they are celebrating our country and they are very happy living in our country. That is it.
Yeah.
But then talking about the hashtag, where you had the Treasury Under Secretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence of the USA, Mandelka Sigal,
Yeah.
accusing General Kale Kayihura of torture, of corruption, and many other things. Forgetting that Kayihura is on bail. He has been he's facing. Actually, Kayihura has been accused of several things, and some of the things that the United States are sanctioning Kayihura for are in the court, and Kayihura is on bail for it. We also read how Kayihura stayed in prison for some
in
good
incarceration.
time, incarceration for some good time here in Makindi military barracks.
Yep.
And we as a country, all the accusation within the country has been placed before him. He's answering it, and then the United States today wakes up and say no, we sanctioning Kayihura, accusing him of having accounts that Kayihura says it doesn't exist. And this is not the first time the United States are doing that, because we have known of certain people who have been accused of having accounts in the United States when they don't even have it. So I don't really know what their intentions are. But then we also realize that when you read from Kayihura himself, he says he did not do all those. He denied the allegation and says they are meant to defame him. And you see, these people accuse him for using corruption and bribery to strengthen his political position.
Yep.
As units under his command committed serious human rights abuses, that is flying squad and the rest. The fact is that the FBI worked closely, as said by Kayihura.
Yeah.
Kayihura said that the FBI worked closely with him and with units of police that were involved in fighting crime, including the flying squad that the United States are now accusing him for. They were not just alone, and by his leadership, actually gave him they actually gave him an award for his contribution in the fight against terror. So they first awarded him and recognizes him for fighting crime and terror, and then later they comes back, and the person you have been working with, you now set them aside and say no, you did this was wrong, yet they were working together. They had a combined contribution in this country, and they worked together. That would mean if Kayihura was in wrong, it was their own mistake. They would have guided him because they were working together in the same table, fighting the same crime. And and Kayihura also proved that there is no profile case which the units did not liaise with the FBI. They participated in, for example, the investigations into the assassinations of the late Joan Kagezi and the late Andrew Felix Kawesi, as well as the 2010 terror case, this one of Chadendo, where many people died.
Chadendo bombings.
So the Treasury does do well to sanction those officers, as also their own officers should have also been sanctioned. But then we understand there are about 700 people who have been sanctioned, not only Kayihura. But now we are talking about this because Kayihura is a Ugandan, and they have also sanctioned other 5 African head of states. And then our issue here is about because Kayihura is a Ugandan. So these allegations, as described by Kayihura, is that the allegation is fit now to describe the narrative which has been perpetrated by intriguers, I mean, in Uganda, since he left the Uganda police force. So these things have been piling up. The objective was to falsely criminalize him and accuse him of all sorts of crimes, and in order to malign him and destroy his public persona. That is, if we are to read into Kayihura's mind. He denies them and says it is defaming him and all that. Well, I understand the need that the American wants to care for us and wants to behave like the everything.
Big brother.
The big brothers and all those. But then, Tony, Kent, I know what comes to mind when I hear about America. What comes to mind is the land of arrogance. They want to be on the gang, they want to be on everything. But then, it is as well as you gave me a go ahead, and when you talk about the sovereignty. So I think we need to understand well what it means by when we are sovereign states. Now Uganda is a sovereign nation, and sovereignty is a simple idea. Uganda is an independent nation governed by the Ugandan people that controlled its own affairs. Ugandan people adopted the constitution and created the government. We elect our representatives and make our own laws. That is what the Americans are forgetting.
So sovereignty is a political statement.
It's
and situation.
And situation as well, of course.
Because economy-wise, if you're depending upon so much of donations and the foreign land, does that make you sovereign as well?
No, if you depend on them so much, it doesn't make you sovereign. But then, you see, when someone is giving you a hand, when you have not asked for it,
hey, okay,
which country did we ask to come and help us? Uganda has not asked any country to come and help us. Yes, they come to help us. They come to us. You know, when you're falling down, and you know you are down, and somebody comes and asks you to lift you up, you cannot refuse that. You can accept it.
There's a point of correction coming from James Odiom. He says, Obita, point of correction, Kale was sacked by the president. He did not leave Uganda police.
No, there is... Odiom, I'm going to beat
he's
you.
Actually watching us on Facebook Live.
No, I meant he left the police. Sacking him meaning he had to quit the police. He quit it, okay. He quit the police because if he had not been sacked, he would have not left the police. He would still be there. So he's on it. So I am reading the minds of our founding fathers. Our founding fathers understood that if Uganda does not have sovereignty, it does not have independence. If a foreign power can tell Uganda what they shall do, or what we shall not do, we have independence yet to see. And when we call ourselves independent nation, but then we still fall down for very small things from other foreign countries, and that is why they underlook us. And when you read the statement of General Museveni Kaguta about this thing of Kayihura, it shows that one, I know. You see, the founding fathers believed in sovereignty. In the 1962, they fought for it, but why does sovereignty still matter to Uganda? The Declaration of Independence tells us why sovereignty mattered to Ugandans. When Uganda declared its independence in 1962, the declaration described Uganda as one people who had the right to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and of natures God entitled them.
Yes.
With those words, and with those descriptions, during our independence time, Uganda declared its sovereignty. It became a separate nation, entitled to all the rights of existing nations. It therefore claimed the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right to do. So when the United States want to carve their legs on us, and we are here proudly keeping quiet. Yes, I know. We have been pushed so much to the wall. We have the truth that corruption is in the country. It is burning us day and night. Torture, we have it in the country, and we are trying to handle it. I know. You see, I was telling somebody this morning. For me, I think the issue of this Kayihura sanction is not just about Kayihura. It's about the leadership. It's about the world politics. The United States, on records, we know that the United States doesn't like our head of state.
Really?
We know they do not like our head of state. We know that.
Why? Perhaps do you have knowledge as well on why?
On why? Because Obama, when he was the president, complained President has overstayed in power. Complained most African head of states who have stayed in power should leave power. And that shows that they do not like our head of states. Because they want to bring their own people, maybe because, our head of state became Pan-Africanist.
Does that not make, yes, that one is definitely one of them. But does that not make, countries like the in the whole aspect of so and so has stayed in power this long, yet the constitution allows them to be. Huh? Is that not disrespecting constitutions of the various African nations?
I want to tell you, the Americans and the ICC wants to try Ugandan's national while at pace for the crimes committed in Uganda. They want to try Ugandan national in their country for the crimes committed in Uganda. They want to be on top of everything. They have combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our constitution and unacknowledged by our laws. Because when we talk about sanctions, why would they want Kayihura to be there? Why can't they instead back up the judiciary of Uganda to follow up the issue of Kayihura since he was already in court? He has been arrested on those things.
Yeah.
Why don't they make a good follow-up? See, so talking about, you see, the Americans, they are the most arrogant people on earth. You see, for the Americans, you can't try them in another country. You cannot. You cannot try that.
What makes them immune in other countries that makes us, liable to be tried in Americas or in America?
You see, for them, in their constitution, they don't allow an American to be tried in the country. And if you do so, the country allows them to, their constitution allows them to wage war upon your country. For trying an American can come here and kill people and do anything, but their constitution doesn't allow them to be tried in Uganda for the crimes they've committed here.
Actually, if they run to the American embassy at that particular time, they're in the land of the Americas.
Yes.
And not in Uganda.
They're not like us here in Africa. And so I was telling, in 1986, to show the arrogance of Americans, in 1998, the International Criminal Court, ICC, was established. It was empowered to subject American soldiers to criminal prosecution in Holland for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Americans rejected trying Americans outside American courts, even when they do not subscribe to ICC. In Kyoto, Japan, in 1997, and in Denmark in 2010, an international conference drafted a global treaty to regulate energy use in the United States. An international bureaucracy would monitor compliance with the treaty's terms. The Americans rejected subjecting Americans to a jurisdiction foreign to their constitution. In recent years, international organizations and foreign leaders have proposed international taxes on airline tickets and financial transactions, taxes that would be borne by the American citizens and businesses.
Actually, I saw
the revenue collected
even for the CPC conference, which kicks off this week. Those that did not get visas to Uganda are picking them at the airport, meaning it's a sure deal. You get a visa, like it or not, at only $50. While we that need to go to countries of the kind need to get a visa from our Uganda before we fly. Why?
And they give us terms of country. And you see, they say these taxes generated from the American citizens. The revenue collected would be spent by unaccountable international organization. The American rejected taxation without representation. So Americans want to subject us to their own terms and conditions, to their own way of doing things, and forgetting that we also have our own country and we are sovereign states. You see, the purpose of government is to secure people's rights. Legitimately, sovereign governments derive their powers from the consent of the governed. Thus, Ugandan sovereignty is justified by the inherent, God-given rights of self-government. So, transporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretended offenses, I don't think it is a good cause for us in the country. America want to transport overseas and try us in their country. America want to make decision that bound as decision. They want to climb on top of everything now in this nation and other countries in the world. I told you earlier that we know and we recognize that there are problems in this country. We have seen a lot of issues. But them coming up and saying, no, we are doing this, I don't think it was that called for. I know there's corruption. And the Americans themselves, I don't think America is not corrupt free. That I can tell you. And in every nation, that the issue dealing with corruption. We have had corruption in almost every nation. But that doesn't mean when we have corruption in every nation, then we must have it here now. That it doesn't mean so. So one, the Americans themselves, they have a lot of black people in their prisons. 40 million black people are in the highest population of the American prisons are full of the black African American people. People from the blacks. So before the Americans start crying out loud and start forcing things out of their country, are they good? They say charity begins at home. The Americans themselves are even not clean. Look at what America created in Syria. How about Cuba? I think we still understand why Americans and the Chinese are not friendly forces. They have made mistakes, and nobody's talking about it.
Because they are the superpowers.
So when you're the superpower and you keep stepping on, when an elephant keeps stepping on, an elephant cannot brag about winning a race between it and the rat. So it cannot boast.
Oh my God.
The race between a rat and the elephant. The elephant, when it won, it cannot boast. You cannot boast about that. That this is too different.
Some people are actually deciding to listen silently. Maurice Cooper here says, man, I became a silent listener. Issues of generals to generals, maybe a bit at ease. Then I also see Alangi. I actually called him Langi, but he says, my name is Alangi. He says, hi again, Tony Kent. Pop again from Alangi. Zombo. Oh, you're from Alangi. You're writing a lot of short form. There is number 2, number 4, letter U, letter T, and lots of short forms. But anyway, I'll try. He says, I'm Pop again from Alangi, Zombo district. May you help me to know on what law the US is accusing Kale right now? To almighty words of Jesus Christ on his way, found a woman being stoned. Then he told all people that if you know you ever done a crime, short form. Told those people that whoever hasn't done it should be the one to strike first. Now I'm reading, paraphrasing what this thing is all about. And it says, let Kale face it according to law. Clearly, us, we are jealous to our country. Look at the way Trumps rely on Museveni Act, but let them leave us alone. Museveni Pakalas. This message is a bit tricky. How it's coming. Let me actually, this call has insisted and it's actually failing us on the phone. Magic, hello. Magic, hello.
Hello, Magic.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How? Yes, Mr. Tawani.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Joshua. How is Felis? Yes, how is Festino this morning? Ensonga ya Kayihura? Olina bwino? Muzeyi ng'obuukabuuka tereera w'oli tereera. Mwami Joshua Tawinya Tawani Bambi Terera, get into a better position and call back. We shall be able to respond to you, but he was trying to bring in an element of maybe it's true the general was not as clean as we think he was. Good morning, Kent and Mr. Obita. I'm Benon from Buya. When I hear the name Kayihura, he says, I feel like I'm lost in a forest and I'm surrounded by hungry lions. In fact, that man was bad and deserves to be given no bail. The message continues, but let's first return to the phone call. Magic, hello.
Hello, Magic.
Yes, kati jogera speeding network yote nafa. Yes.
Omwami oyo sebo ojjukira. Omwaka okuwedde. Tebamuggyako ku kkooti abajapanisa abavubuka bakipesire bamwagala okuba bakulu kwako kubadda.
tetumanyi oba yapangisa naye nga waliwo abajja ne bakola ebintu ebyo
Gwe twabiraba.
anti twalaba naye tetumanyi oba
Abana
bapanga.
bakuwa ebigo mu kampeyini bano abaana b'amasomero bakuwa ebigo. Awadde ekitata emundu awadde buyinza kitata akuba abantu baffe. Twabiraba.
Kitata bamuwa buyinza kukuuma mbeera kitata naye ewagula.
Kati labayo omuntu munamagye omuntu oba ali mu kitongole kyonna ekimanyisibwa okukuuma abantu. Toyinza kusobola kuyinza n'obwa siriani. Siriani yakulaga tamanyi mateeka ajja kuba kukwebiro. Kitata n'akwata abaana b'amasomero bali abaali bambadde n'abakuba emikko abaali bagenda ku kitanda so twakiwulirako.
Ekyo twakiwulirako se.
So munnange abantu ng'abo bataagala abantu baffe mu ggwanga lyaffe. Abantu abo tubasaasira era nze nebaza kwebaza Amerika okuteekako enfumbo era ebyokugaga alibirina. Tukira Amerika yogera kimu n'egamba nti omukulu Jeno Kayihura mutateeka enfumbo. Kati ye n'addako n'ayogera ebyo bingi by'abatayogera amawulire biki manyi bamuteekako emisango gy'okutaka weeki. Amazima gonna kiika gyavaayo olaba ate gavumenti y'Amerika yeyogera kimu yemanyi egenda kuteekako ekintu ng'ekimanyi. So tetwebaza bwebaza Amerika naffe abaagala ensi yaffe.
Amerika mugyebaza ne kubiyisayisa.
Era ne Pulezidenti Museveni mwebaza kubanga yatuyamba yamulaba nti ono omwami eggwanga limulemye amateeka gamulemye okukola gamulemye okukuuma abantu baffe. Abantu baffe nga bafa abantu baffe nga bafa ku lunaku kwegamba gwe n'olowooza nti oba okulembera kitongole kya poliisi oba nebaza bwebaza okulembeze wa ggwanga okubeera ngaomwami n'amuteekako ebbali n'agamba owaayi
Tweyanza nnyo mwamu na Joshua katuweko n'abala omukisa bateese.
Kale tubeerako nyo ab'emikono era tugezi ab'emugumu tuleeta kagimu bread.
Tujja kukola campaign edda naye tetujja kutandika. Let's get this message out of the way from Benon. He was saying that he feels like he's surrounded by hungry lions every time he hears the name Kayihura, but continues to say that Americans have seen the weakness of our nation, Uganda, and they want to get all the hidden information accordingly concerning Kayihura and Uganda as a government, and that's why that is the first person they are taking action upon. So let us allow the superpower country to take action. That is according to Benon in Mbuya. Meanwhile, there is an interesting one here from Odium, who says, by the way, Kent, I like Tobita's submission that Americans want to be above others. Let Kale be tried here in Uganda. I'm really disappointed with Kale that he has invested in the US rather than in his own father country, not motherland, right? He says, it reminds me in 2005, Stephen Birija, a former Ugandan politician from Masindi, who swindled UPDF fund meant for their salary in Midwestern UG, ran into exile in the UK, Nottingham. And he says, by Midwestern, I mean Bunyoro region. Albita, I like your quote. I'm watching on Facebook Live.
Thank you. But then, Benon, I want to give applause to my brother Odiomo. And Benon, you see, my problem is not that Kayihura was wrong or he did not do anything wrong. I accept, I acknowledge that we have some proof, although not proven by court yet. We're still waiting for what court will say. Yep. But then, what my issue, Benon, is that a legislative body in which we had not represented imposing sanctions on us without our consent, that doesn't make sense to me. If the Americans think they have evidence, let them arrange Kayihura before a competent court, and so that Kayihura can be tried and Kayihura can be allowed to defend himself. You see, when Kayihura wakes up and says, even when the American says Kayihura has wealth and has invested in the United States, and Kayihura says, no, I did not, I have not even been, I don't even think any of my relatives have invested in the US. It shows that there is some lacuna somewhere. But then, what we must understand is that there's something deep we are not understanding, is that the Americans need powers. And the Americans knows very well that General Kayihura used power in his time of regime to strengthen the regime of President H.E YKMuseveni.
Yeah.
So General Kayihura was a serving officer. He was the Inspector General of Police. He's a military general of our country. His role is to defend our nation, against terror.
Yeah.
His role is to fight for us, to defend us, to stand for us before anything else. And as a military, that was his duty. And then the American knows that very well, that during we have had scenarios where the police beat people during the election. That we accept it. The police beat people during the election and use the force to maintain the head of state in power. That people have complained, and we have had those allegations. The Americans are sending signals that they don't want president. The next election is coming, and the Americans have shown us signs. They do not like our head of state. They do not like him. Much as I also, if President sits me down and asks me, Dennis Obita, what do you think about my candidacy? I would definitely say, Mr. President, I think you have to retire. It's not good to say overstay in power. That I agree. But then the Americans are using General Kayihura as an example to name him a man who have been in power and is now out of power. He's just a very simple man somewhere there, without anything. He's not doing anything. But apart from being the hammer in the hammer, now General Kayihura is off duty. He's on court bail. The man has been finished almost.
More like house arrest.
Just there. He's just there. And the Americans wakes up and stops and says no. So the Americans are telling us that when you are at the capacity of power, you are in the office. When you do something wrong at office, later we shall still sanction you. We can still bring you back to respond to things you have done. That is what the Americans are showing us. So the Americans are telling our people at the leadership that for whatever thing you are going to do at office, within your time, where to strengthen the government, at one point we are going to make you respond to it. That is if you have interest. And this is bad for those who have interest in the America. If you want to go and settle in America, if you want to go and work in America, if you want to, after retirement, to retire in America and do anything, they want to stop you from going there. So the Americans are sending signals that our leaders should stop supporting the head of state, should stop standing for what they believe in. The Americans want to tell us what to do and want us to do what they want and how to do it. So we are not a sovereign state in that sense. But if we remember that we are a sovereign state, then we must accept that we are in our own nation and we can stand on our own. Recently, the Americans are withdrawing the people in Iraq, in Somalia here. You know, we are fighting Americans' war in Somalia. That's not our war, but we have gone there to help. So it is also bad to defend to be with the Americans in times of peace, and then later when they blame us, we want to walk away. Sometimes it's good to carry the cross, but then this is when we are helping our own African countries, and the Americans and the donors are saying no, and most of our donors come from the UK and the United States, and they're saying no, we are withdrawing. So I think it is time that Africa can stand up on its own and say no, we cannot leave Somalia like this.
Do we have what it takes to stand?
Yes, we stand.
With the rampant corruption in Africa?
Even this corruption is in the United States. Don't you hear Obama?
But it's not as
Trump blames Obama.
Not as rampant as it is in
It's
Africa.
not as rampant. No, what we need to do is sensitization. People need to know what they want. People need to know the benefits of having their own country. People need to know that when you steal is bad. You kill your country. You don't only kill yourself. Your name. You don't. When you are caught, you don't only kill your name or your personality, but then you kill your nation. You kill your continent.
Let's hear some of the messages coming through, as well as receive some of your phone calls on 0783-064-530. Mr. Kasuti David here says, the issue isn't Uganda's sovereignty, but the sovereignty of the African people and how to handle Africa's useful idiots, that is in quotes, the likes of Segona and Nganda. That's the biggest challenge of African sovereignty, not Ugandan. That is according to
David
Mr. Kasuti.
Thank you so much, David Kasuti.
And of course, looking forward and forth to more of the messages as they come my way. Checking out what a brother of mine just shared earlier on my Twitter account. That is Jethro Zephania. He says, I support him Actually, in one of his responses, he said it's treason and disappointing if Kayihura had businesses out there, yet Uganda is suffering to have investors in the country. So someone is actually looking at the aspect of investing. If you're investing outside of Uganda, he feels a little upset that it's just Rosefania.
Yes.
Whilst Ivan Kahwa says, should we say anyone has no right to invest in another country using their own resources? I was about to come to that. The big question would have been, was he using his own resources? If at all the allegations come right that he actually swindled and invested, were those own resources? Besides the whole bit of uncertainty on whether or not he invested. Afeku Charles, listening in from Ntinda, Spear section, says, but how could Kayihura go and invest all those monies outside of Uganda as if he doesn't have relatives in Uganda? Magic, hello. Magic, hello.
Good morning, my good friend.
This cyber friend of mine, Andrew Katsigaire. Good morning to you, sir.
Your reception. You start by saying, as if I'm disturbing.
No, it's
But even next time it should be Mr. Dennis to receive my phone.
I'll definitely be the one.
I am getting offended. Listen,
True, you're right, you're correct.
whether or not, you see, when you steal money, when you steal public money, before you are arrested or before you are charged, at that particular time it is your money.
Yes, it is your
And
money.
you can invest it anywhere you want,
Mm.
especially where you find value for your money, which is invested and it will bring dividends. I don't have proof that Kayihura has investments in the US, and I'm not intending on finding out whether or not he has invested in the US. I know only one thing, that if I say, you know, everything was okay until when Dennis said, if US has proof, then charge him in a court. And I think that was a bit unfortunate. Who are they? If they have proof, we cannot charge them. Because they are saying they are tortured people and that falls under crimes against men, right? According to Roman statute, right?
Yeah.
But the US is not a signatory of Roman statute. We should render the same news. They should not say a word. I don't know who stayed there and international police. And if really they can have that love for humanity, then they will start with what is happening
In Guantanamo.
No! But what Guantanamo? Guantanamo is a detention facility. We know sometimes you can be there under unfortunate circumstances. I'm taking you to Gaza Strip.
Yeah.
I'm taking you to Palestine.
Yeah.
They have literally killed everyone. Now they are eating as wolves. Because Israel is a gigante, killing kids, protecting the man-eating kids. They are killing everything. Now their ally, Washington's ally, that is Riyadh, has invaded Yemen, and almost the country is getting depleted of human race in Yemen. If you don't die of a bomb, you die of a bullet or cholera. And as if Washington is not looking at that, just yesterday when Khashoggi was killed in a manner that I call very clinical, you see, getting the whole of the body dissolved, I thought something was going to happen. Well, maybe it happened and I missed it. But I have this intention, I have this feeling that if Ken woke up today and invited US or this corrupt hand that US is interfering within our sovereignty, then Ken has committed treason. By here corrupting and welcoming these vultures into our system is a treason. And it should not even say things. Let's look at these things in the brief. Whether or not Kayihura is guilty of the charges and all allegations, he is in court. He has not been set free.
Sure.
And these people who are clapping saying he should not have received
as I don't know if my wallet is going to increase in size because of financial sanctions against Kayihura. When he was in the port, there was torture. But right now he's not in the port.
And there is torture.
So has torture gone away? No. That means Kayihura was not the source of torture. He was an agent of torture, but torture is a thing of our system. So when you strap sanctions against the item, you are just killing a pimple. The pimple is on your surface, on your skin, but the problem is in the inside.
Okay.
Why don't they talk about our system? That is if they want to talk, because I don't even want them to talk about our system. I still think our legislators are letting us down. They need to look into certain roles and edit them, and maybe say if someone is charged or is suspected of participated in terrorism, you are not supposed to receive bail, but because we want to avoid circumstances where someone spends more than 10 years on remand, let's equip our judiciary so that these cases will not take more than 8 months. Maybe Obita understands the law. Has the problem of 2010 voting been solved, or is it they are still on remand?
Ah, my God.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, we need to look at such things. And that's when we shall eliminate agents of torture. And this rubbish way of solving what cases. Otherwise, if you look at Mr. Mugabe, he also suffered the same financial sanctions by Washington, right? The citizens of Harare, they need a better life. All in all, these sanctions do not benefit anyone. At the end of the day, they come from targeting an individual, they target a state, and when they targeted a state like Iran, like North Korea, or like Libya, I think the bad came to us. Everyone who is casting their hands, they are either down or in a very deep sleep. And if I were a lawyer, I would dig into my books and see if I can charge them with prison, because this is unacceptable. He is a subject of torture and other crimes, but he is not free. He is in court. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Katsigayire. Wow, what a submission. Breaking it down like it was actually a lecture. Thank you so much, Mr. Katsigayire. Benon returns. Let's actually clear some of these messages. He says, Kent, I have got a good knowledge from Mr. Obita, and I'm very interested in the president's response, disagreeing with the Americans. It is so inspiring that Mr. Museveni is really a Ugandan freedom fighter who doesn't fear any superpower country. That response from the president means a lot. We see another one. Hi Kent, call me Maberu Bebino from Alangi Zombo. Let me say this out. Many people have grown up from different places, not with their biological parents. In fact, that I have never heard of a kid who grew up from the mother's place being paid back for what he or she has eaten from their belief. Though Americans are choosing Kale for good reasons, it's okay. But majorly jealousness is killing people. But for real, let them follow the right law. 80% Kale might be wrong. Sorry about that, just in case. It's just a small knock somewhere. We also see one here from Ronald. He actually says, hi Magic, I'm Ronel Key Ronald from Nebi. Kayihura has seen that there is dictatorship in judiciary. If he is to handle by the home court, and about his investment, that one is wrong, because we are crying of unemployment day and night for our people. Well, sometimes your messages are not really as you think they are, ladies and gentlemen. Avoid the short forms. You see, when Maberu Bedbinu eventually wrote some bit of, non-short formed, response, it was much more clearer. But of course, try to be as clear as possible, ladies and gentlemen. And basically, for some of you who communicate in a formal way, you might forget and use the short form in formal communication, and guess what? You'll be kicked out just in case. You don't write to your boss and say, hey, what's up? With an emoji. Anyway, the responses we've received so far.
I think there is one I picked from Andrew about it reminded me when General Katumba Wamala was the IGP, were there no torture?
There was.
There was torture. Even before General
The
Katumba
Kose
Wamala.
or the males all had torture
There were
during that time.
And when General Kayihura came in, there was torture, and he was fighting it as well as his other colleague.
But when all the others were around, we never saw issues of people coming and being watched on TV saying, the general told us to do ABC. In his regime, it happened. Who was parading those people is the major question, maybe.
You see, for me, I still want to deny that even these are like sanctions. Kayihura created the police standards units, a unit that helps discipline the police. And if the American think that they have evidence, or anybody think that they have been tortured on the orders of him, General Kayihura, that please torture Dennis officer.
I think we have someone online. So Magic, hello? Yes, Magic it is.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
I'm fine. This is Malik from Buya.
Yes, Malik, how is Mbuya?
I'm very fine.
That is good to hear.
I've joined the talk show for 30 minutes, but now I don't know whether I will be helped. I would like to know exactly the investment he made in America and why Americans are also accusing him.
Okay. Okay, just keep it Magic.
Okay, thank you.
Well, fortunately, we are also still under the alleged kind of bracket and umbrella. We do not know what exactly he did invest into the USA, but apparently what they are doing in as far as sanctioning is aspects of an attachment of he swindled monies, and it's the monies they say he used to invest. What he invested is what we do not know yet. It's a bit confidential.
The United States are saying he has investment in the US and he has money. He has a bank account in the United States with a lot of money in it, which Kayihura denies. He doesn't even have any bank account in the US and any investment. He doesn't have it anywhere in the world.
Maybe the whistleblower gave them the wrong information.
Maybe it could be, but you know this is political. The American want to show that there's corruption in Uganda, and that is carried out by our top officials or based in the office. So they want to use that evidence to do that. So I was telling you that earlier, that we have corruption. Corruption was in place. So Kayihura was as well fighting corruption. And you know, people were not aligned in those days. But now we're in the 21st centuries. The world is growing. The level of the techniques of committing crime is very many. In the 90s, there was no cyber crime. It was very few, especially in the low developed country like Uganda. So cyber crime has now increased. You can do in the 90s there were not mobile phones. There were no mobile phones in the 90s.
Mr. Bita, I'll take you back to the kind of statement I made. All the other inspector generals of police have also experienced levels of crime. But none has had people coming out to say, so and so told us to do ABC. And two, the president has not fired any of the others. It's only Mr. Kayihura who was put aside. Question would be, why? Why Kayihura?
No, even the other ones were fired. How did they leave office? Did they resign?
No, but they could switch you. Like Katumba Amala was given a different assignment. Now, what is the other assignment that General Kayihura is handling right now?
You see, General Kayihura, we had people allege that he wants to be the president of the Republic of Uganda, and that's why he created the crime preventers and all those to gather him support. Those are allegations that people gave.
Would that be rendered the crime? Oh, okay. Magic, hello?
Mr. Ken,
Yes, please.
when someone is doing quite well in their position, against his position as that of an NGC, you don't remove them and transfer them to another department. The Katumbas were transferred because they were not being sufficient.
They were not.
Another form of firing. There is a law, His Excellency has come out to protect
So let me ask you, Mr. Katsigaire. Let's put it in the aspect of Pius Vigilimana from gender ministry to judiciary. Was he doing badly in gender?
Promotion. That is promotion.
So you think IGP to minister is a demotion?
What I'm generally saying,
Yes.
that you have seen His Excellency coming out to protect this general against the strong venomous speech of the US. So you cannot rule out the fact that you can even be intending to give him another position in years to come. That will eventually become a transfer. I think he seated somewhere because the pressure was too immense. And again, we did not see these tough accusations in the past, especially with the rest of Batumba, because the level of enlightenment was not as tough as the one of Protect.
Oh,
How
okay.
many years have passed since Katumba left that position? I think the biggest problem or the biggest mistake that the general did, General Kyle, is because he positioned himself as a politician. Because I remember on one platform, he called himself a politician, and one person challenged him and said, "You are not a politician, you are an IGP." Then he was like, "When I was in UPDF, I was a political commissar. That makes me a politician." So I think he was targeted. That's why we have seen people who have been paid to appear on television. Some of them have been paid to appear on television and say he sent us, when he actually doesn't know them. Like we saw last time when he was being accused of masterminding the matter of his subordinate, Kawesi. And some people have come out saying they were paid to become witnesses.
Okay.
So we cannot say. I think he suffered because he made himself a politician. Otherwise, if Katumba were to make such an error, perhaps we would have seen that as well.
Petro. That is Andrew Katsiga. Yes.
You see what I was telling you, that even Andrew made it more clear. We say he questioned himself as a politician.
So it is a crime.
That people suspected him to be to run for presidency with the idea of becoming the president of the Republic of Uganda. It's not a crime to have ambition.
How many have actually positioned themselves and they've not had any issue?
How about my friend
Mukaku is a free man.
How about Professor
Mabilizi is a free man. But I mean, so could we, or should we say it is the president behind this?
You know, there is no change that happens outside the house. If there is change, it happens within the house. So in a home, when you see a young boy is growing older, that the father will have to, you know, children are the one who decides the retirement homes of their fathers when they have grown very old. So in short, people, those counter accusations were there, were rampant in the country, that Kayihura was having interest of becoming the president, and it has been saturated among politicians. So at one point I was thinking that maybe President Museveni was also misled, but also right, you know, Kayihura has been the longest serving IGP, 13 years in the office.
It was quite a period. 13
years since 2005 to 2018, and then sitting him down and not giving any other thing, it is a kind of a respect. You see, when they demote you, they pick you from being the IGP and make you a minister, just a minister. You know, the IGP, the Inspector General of Police, is powerful than a minister in the country.
That is true.
So when someone picks you from being the IGP and puts you down, that is a demotion. So and that I cannot accept if I was the one. If you pick from being the IGP, actually, for me, if I serve any highest position in an office, I would not go for a small one again. I would not. I would at least accept to rest.
You want to stick at the big side.
I would at least set that record of rest.
Odiom James, US is if the US is to sanction Kale because of torture, it means they'll sanction very many security heads world over. The information given to the US was wrong. They did not do enough investigations, and as such, if you can watch videos going on Instagram where inmates are tortured in Nigerian prisons, even now somewhere they are torturing some Ugandans here in Uganda, the US must leave us alone. Odiom.
Yeah, you see, the United States themselves, they are not under the International Criminal Police, meaning under International
ICC.
Criminal Court, ICC. But then we Ugandans, we are under that.
When the president says we shall not subject anyone to the ICC, yet Uganda subscribes to the ICC.
He is giving an intention to withdraw from ICC. That is the message he's sending. So
what does it take to withdraw?
no, you write to them.
And is it a must that they accept your withdrawal?
You don't want me. I don't want to be there.
How did I get there? Did we not subscribe a couple of years
we
ago?
subscribe, but I will tell you my basement of argument, my points of argument that I will not align with you. You are arresting us, taking us to your court. You are not arresting your fellow nationals, and yet we have proof of evidence that very many countries that comes from the Western world have committed a lot of crimes, but their leaders are not being taken there. It is only about us. They have taken my brother, this one, the LRAs. They have taken them there.
Ongwen
and the rest, they are still there battling before court, and you see, this is wasting of time. They have taken a lot of journalists from Uganda going there to investigate the issue as well, follow up the case. Up to now, we're still stuck there with ICC. So instead of developing our country,
I think let's speak Andrew one last time as the show is closing into the end.
Yes, one last time, I know we're out of time. I thought to remind you, Ken,
Yes.
your questions are rather disturbing. You ask for this but they will accept our withdrawal. I don't, whether or not they accept it is their prerogative. You see, signing a party to ICC, it is reversed, it is not like this, that when you have died, you might not come back. Even if it is faster, they can make you come back. It is up to them.
Okay.
That court, that thing, I'm saying that it is as useless or it is partisan. It is partial. So I think, in agreement with Mr. Officer, what His Excellency is saying is actually trying to prepare their minds for acceptance of our withdrawal, and I think we have withdrawn yesterday.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Andrew Katsigari. He's actually so much insisting that we are cyber friends because we rarely meet. We are so much into the cyber platforms, social media and others. Actually, it's clocked 10 o'clock, but for the aspect of conclusion, please make a conclusion so we can actually see ourselves out of studio.
what I want us to go by, you see, we have not said, we must learn that we are a sovereign country. And then, when you're a sovereign country, you see, the problem has now hinted us so much that even up to now, when we are going for election, we still wonder what the Americans are saying. We still need observers that come from the Western world, especially the America and the UK. That mindset must stop. We can run our own election. We can do we are human beings. We understand torture is bad.
Yeah.
But for you who do not even stay here, you don't know how things are running, you are going to come and observe us and try us in court, sanction us, give us rules and procedures in our parliament and what to do in our country. That could be wrong. Yes, we understand that there are problems, and as a country, all we take charge. We need to learn that torture is bad, corruption is bad, and we must address it. We cannot wait. We should not wait for people. It shows weakness when the Western world comes to help us.
Let me just ask you something very brief as we get to the closure. People have said that is around the corners that if Kayihura was acting that way, he was doing it on behalf of the president.
Yes, that is true.
How would we distinguish president actions done on behalf of the president, actions individually done by Kayihura, actions that represented police, which he headed?
You are appointed by Dennis Obita to handle an activity, and that if you are doing it, you're doing it on my behalf, and that if you are in wrong, I must stop you from it and say this is wrong, and I state it clearly. So when he's doing them as the IGP, he was doing them as the Inspector General of Police of the Republic of Uganda, and on behalf of the appointing authority. And that is why.
So even if I am an outlaw, still it is taken that I am doing what I am doing. courtesy of your directives.
I know one thing is that the Americans are very strong people. They can come here and kidnap President Museveni and take him, and we cannot do anything about it. We can only shout and maybe go and cry before the UN, the International Security Agency, and all those to release him. But then the Americans have the powers. If they think they care about the countries like Uganda, let them start asking our head of states who commit this crime first. Ask them, let them be accountable. Don't just go for small things. That is if they have, but why should they even do it? I think that's all. We can discuss it. We can call the discussion. We shall go back to Twitter and respond to something, Facebook and the rest. We shall keep this discussion live and
okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Obita. By the way, as we actually get to the final seconds of it all, Obita, speak well of the Americans. You might be denied an American visa. We might miss out moving together on the same plane. That is Odiomo, who says, I'm also sanctioning him for having a nice coat. Well, now, Jermaine Egesa might come a little late, and courtesy of an accident he survived yesterday. Their vehicle rolled about 3 times yesterday as they were coming from up country, but surprisingly, all of them are alive. No one of them died. Rather, none of them died, and they are simply getting into a bit of checkups early morning as of this particular time, so it might come in a little late, but we thank God for life, and well, it doesn't matter losing a vehicle, it does matter so much losing a life. Well, we have to say goodbye. We'll be catching you tomorrow. Mr. Obita will be returning again tomorrow for what we shall be letting you know in the course of the day on the social media platforms. That is Obita Dennis, Tony Ketchaze, Facebook and Twitter. You will definitely get to know. Thank you for listening in, for the phone calls, the messages, the tweets, and whatever else has been coming, WhatsApp and others. We are definitely grateful for that bit of contribution. Catch you tomorrow. God bless you.
All the hits.
But you know this thing, it's quality.
Magic FM
You
100.
don't even find President Museveni is going to go there and grab that.
Number
Man,
one.
those guys, huh?
Music and sport.
We didn't find audience. Get him and
Squeeze him a bit.
squeeze him a bit so that I can gain some momentum.
Because remember, he's the one who directed.
Monday to Friday, 10 to midnight, only on Magic 100 FM.
Odiomo, you come for my suit. I am going to donate it for you. Namiro Justin, thank you for watching. Alex Angina, Faith Alinga, Ogwal Kasim, Julie, Jack Loser, Daniela. Thanks so much for following us, and we catch up.